Hello, my honeys. This is Kamara with the Black Dove Oracle. Welcome. If you are a subscriber, I really appreciate you looping back and checking out my new readings. I think I've gained some new subscribers, so thank you and welcome to the Black Dove Oracle. If you're brand new here and you haven't decided yet if you want to join this awesome community, very powerful folks, I hope that you take a listen to some of these piles. And today's pick a card is a little bit of a collaboration with the community because I did put in my community, I posted earlier, should I make this a pick a card or a collective reading? And all of you said a pick a card. So that's awesome. And I'm here for it. And this pick a card is going to be a little creative, but this is what Spirit gave me. A time traveler is coming back and has a message from your future self. So I like this subject. I'm really big, you all, on futurism. So I like to incorporate some of this when I can into the readings. So this is a pick a card. You may choose your groups with the artwork that's at the beginning of this reading, and it will be timestamped below in case you missed it. Or I set out a few gemstones, and I can have you take a closer look in a minute. And also, some people choose to use the numbers in the timestamps as a numerology way of picking. But either way, let's show you. Group number 1, you have this really beautiful bluish ocean-like stone for group number 1. Group number 2, you have this other nice gemstone. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering any of the names of these. I guess I could have looked them up. You'll just have to go by the aesthetic. And then group number 3. I love this stone. It's been with me quite some time. I think it's a banded jasper. Really nice. Kind of reminds me of Jupiter. I don't know why. So in this reading, we are going to ask a few questions, like, what timeline did the time traveler meet your future self? Like, where were they when they met your future self? And what is the most important piece of advice that your future self wants you to know right now? The next question we'll ask is, what potential challenges does your future self foresee that you could prepare for? The third question we're going to ask is, what steps should you take to align your current path with the best possible future outcome? And then the last question, we're just going to see what other things you need to know with and pull some tarot cards just to kind of close it all. But yeah, why don't we go to group number 1? Again, the timestamps will be below. And if you resonate with any of these readings, if you consider giving me a thumbs up or even subscribing to this channel if you want to stay connected. I am looking for more like-minded souls always, and I appreciate the ones that have joined me so far. Okay, my honeys, let's get to the reading. Hello, group number 1. This is Kamara with the Black Dove Oracle, and you may have chosen this beautiful stone to help you choose the pile. This pick a card is about a time traveler who is now coming back to give you a message from your future self. Hopefully that doesn't sound complicated, but I thought it sounded very futuristic. And we all have a future self. That future self has been guiding us along the way, because we got to think our future self is probably our highest self, hopefully. And that highest self has the ability to come back in time and give us the encouragement we need, maybe some of the warnings we need about certain decisions we're making. So let's see what this time traveler, in terms of a message, has for us. But first, let's ask the time traveler, how did you meet my future self? So the time traveler met you. Oh, wow. The time traveler met your future self at the Akashic Stargate. It says below, aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. This is pretty deep. We're diving in already. So this time traveler is saying that when they met your future self, you were at this portal. And there was something about you getting ready to go to your Akashic records. Because if you don't know what Akashic records are, Akashic records, there's basically this place in the cosmos that is an Akashic library. And this library contains the written record of your entire lives, all of your lives, all timelines, all realms. And so there are meditations, and I'm thinking about really doing one because Akashic came up in another reading that I did. And I said, I'm going to do an Akashic Records like guided imagery. But there's plenty on YouTube. So if you are interested in taking your own personal dive into your Akashic records, I actually had someone read my Akashic records for me, and they were also an acupuncturist, and it was just the coolest treatment I've ever received. And it affirmed so many things that I kind of knew already and provided me with some new insights. So, there are people who do that, and I will be offering Akashic record readings as well. If you haven't heard, I've qualified to do lives. I'm growing this channel, so there's many things that I want to do in terms of new content. But thank you all for suggesting that this be a pick a card. So back to how this time traveler met your future self. I'm hearing from them that when they met you at this gate, you were at a crossroads in your life. I think you were deciding, they're saying that you were deciding to take one road, which is the one that you were currently on, which seemed to be attached to some kind of duty, some kind of obligation. But they said that you had the opportunity to take a brand new road that was full of joy, light, and love. So when they met you at this Akashic gateway right before you decided to go through, you gave them a message to your past self. And they said, and you said to this time traveler, if you run across me again, maybe you can give myself a few messages. So let's see what your future self wanted to reveal to you, group number 1. And this is a collective reading, so take what resonates. But what was the most important piece of advice that your future self wanted you to know right now? Agape. Agape means devotion, unconditional love. It can sometimes point to that overwhelming love that we have for family, for a partner, for our friends, community. And it also speaks about a deep gratitude that we have for even having that experience. Agape is about our capacity to love and serve humanity. I think, group number 1, that your future self was pointing to an aspiration that they had been looking for throughout their whole life. And this aspiration was to live in complete gratitude about how their life had turned out. And to be confident with the choices that they've made in life. I get a sense right now that your future self is trying to give you a sense of like whatever's happening in your life right now is part of an initiatory experience that the universe is giving you. Because there's a way in which you have these aspirations, these goals, these things that are going to put you on the road to success, right? But there is this other path, one that maybe doesn't focus so much on 3D aspirations, meaning earthly aspirations. And there's another path that seems lighter, that seems full of joy. And it centers the energy of spirit more than it centers the energy of your ego. And to have an ego is not a bad thing. I mean, we wouldn't be living amongst other human beings if we didn't have an ego. But it's how we navigate life with that ego, right? And sometimes the ego wants to be seen. It wants validation. It wants to be patted on the back. And I think your future self is saying right now that because they're showing me like this ladder. It's like a sacred ladder, they're saying. But it's a ladder that you have to question, where is it leading you? Is it leading you to the place where you will receive the most ultimate growth? Or is it leading you to a place that will keep you stagnant, group number one? And there's something here about you being in the energy of agape. It means being in the energy of love, unconditional love. Not necessarily just romantic love, but love of life, love of the journey. And I think your future self is saying there may be parts of you right now that feel stressed about trying to make it in this 3D world. And it's tough. Your future self is saying it's a tough journey when it comes to focusing on meeting your basic needs. So let's talk about those potential challenges, because this next card is going to speak to those potential challenges. Wow. Look at gratitude. Again, there's something about your life right now where your future self is saying, sometimes we're so, there's a saying about stopping and smelling the roses, because you're on the road and you're just walking and you're doing your thing and you're trying to complete all these goals and trying to meet all of these deadlines, that you sometimes forget to stop and just smell the roses. Take in all of the good things that have happened so far, group number one. There's this vibration that gratitude has. It's not so much just being thankful, but it's like to stop and really take in the present moment. Because when we're focusing on the past, we're kind of in a sadness, right? Or we might be nurturing some kind of depression, and if we're too focused on the future, we might be nurturing some kind of anxiety. And so the present moment is where we can be comfortable with what we have. It doesn't mean that we don't have goals. It doesn't mean that we don't want to grow or expand. But your future self is saying there's something about your current life right now that before you know it, you may miss some of the goodness if you don't take it in right now. I don't know why it's coming to me, but maybe someone watching this has a young child. And children grow so fast. Before you know it, they're in school. Before you know it, they're graduating. And there's this thought that some parents have, like, wow, I was so busy working and trying to take care of the family at some point that I think I missed certain parts of my children's childhood. Because maybe you were working late, or maybe you had to travel a lot for your job. And there's something about that future self for some of you kind of giving you like a little, I don't know, it's not, I think their energy, your future self's energy is so gentle and kind and non-judgmental, really. So your future self is just like, I understand why you might be busy, why you are stressed, or really focusing on your success right now. Your future self says that they understand that, but there's something about you spending time in those places that could, in a flash, change before your very eyes. Gratitude is about what is making you happy right now. Gratitude is about how the universe sees and knows you, and that you are a vital part of this world, group number one. Regardless of what direction you take, you're vital to your universe and all the universes that surround you and interact with you. So our next question is, what steps would you need to take to align with this current path with the best possible future outcome? Like, what would give you the best outcome in the future? Oh, wow. 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands in the traditional tarot deck, you see people kind of sparring. There might be like a little fighting. But in this 5 of Wands, it's about getting out of your comfort zone a little bit and knowing that in that comfort zone you don't grow. And something about 5 of Wands also being like this action you have to take, maybe to sidestep a lot of different disruptions to your career or blocks to some of your relationships, and it's like that action that you have to take to fight to stay in the game, group number one. But in terms of your future self talking about how to stay aligned, it's almost like fighting to keep the good things in your life too. Not just to prevent bad things from happening to you, but the fight to keep the good things in your life, the love, the compassion, the relationships, the family, the community, fighting to keep those equally in your life. Your future self is saying that around this time in your life, there may be causes that you are dedicated to, some of you. And these causes, they come with a time commitment. And for some of you, your future self is saying, there's no shame in really creating boundaries around certain things so that you can maintain the goodness of your life. Whether that's taking care of yourself and your own inner peace, or whether that's devoting time to family, friends, and community, even a partner. Let's look at what else, in terms of your own strengths, in terms of your own talents, that your future self is trying to encourage you to develop further on this path, group number one. Because at Akashic Records, there's something that you wanted to go and find out. And your future self is saying, can you imagine just realizing that whatever's in those Akashic Records is already embedded inside of you as knowledge, as wisdom. We have King of Cups in reverse. we have Judgment in reverse. And we have the Queen of Swords upright. Group number 1, I think that reversed King of Cups is really pointing out here that while you have so much compassion, so much generosity for many of the things that are happening in, through, and around you, it's not coming back. It's not feeding you. It's not nurturing you. It's not nurturing or feeding the things that you really have life for. There's something there about the King of Cups. When they're reversed, it's like they have the capacity to identify with everybody's emotions, and they have the capacity to understand how they may be influencing or impacting other people's feelings. But there's some inability to really take action. There's a little bit of an emotional stuckness. And your future self is saying that emotional stuckness, it becomes judgment in reverse too, because you're not able to make decisions in your best benefit, because maybe some of your emotions are tied into things like, I should do this, I'm obligated to do this, I have to do this in order to be successful, in order to make money, in order to blah, 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 blah. And your future self is saying this Queen of Swords energy for you right now is going to help you kind of put a little pause, put the brakes on a little bit, and really look at the facts. That's what Queen of Swords does. Because if you look at the Queen of Swords, this figure is sitting on a throne with their arm extended, and the other arm has a sword. It's giving the motion of, yes, I'm ready to receive, but also with discernment. And your future self is saying that discernment in your life right now is going to have a positive impact on your future self, what your future self can accomplish in life. Because not everything is we're not meant always to have 10 million choices about what we need to do. Sometimes that discernment, and they said, Spirit said to put this card underneath discernment. Because 7 of Cups in reverse, there's a lot of choices here, but you're not making a choice. You're just like, I could do this, I could do that, I can do this, I could do that. And there's not any kind of decisive action being taken. But guess what? Wow, sorry about hitting the camera. But you have this Ace of Cups here. There is an offering for you. One that's much bigger. Spirit said to show this to you. One that's quite better than all the rest. One that includes your nurturing, your love, your care, your agape. Spirit is saying this is your agape. Your future self is even saying that. Your future self is saying, and I don't know in the future what decision you ended up making, but it must have been something about you focusing here when you needed to focus here. What else, Spirit? Yeah. Spirit is saying this is actually upright, Page of Wands. If you look at this, this is the after tarot. So that's why the cards might look a little different. But if you look here, the Page of Wands is setting out on a journey. And there's someone in the background, group 1. Someone in the background who, can you see that? I hope there's not like a huge reflection. Someone in the background is being left behind while the page moves on. for a small group of you, you may be contemplating leaving a relationship because you need to move for a job or for school, or you may have something that needs to take you away. Now, this is going to be specific, and it may have different variations to it. But your future self is saying, think about that. Connect it to your heart, to the agape that's in your heart. Think about the way that you're doing that, even, I'm hearing from your future self. Think about the way that that's all coming about, how it's all playing out. Your future self is saying, they're not saying don't leave or don't take the job or don't do something, but they're saying there's a way in which you execute this leaving that you may end up regretting later. That's for some of you. Because the Nine of Pentacles is a very interesting card. I remember a long, long time ago, I had a friend who was really good at reading tarot. And I asked her about, should I move? What would be the outcome of me moving and taking a certain job, a certain position from where I was currently living? And she said, oh, you have the Nine of Pentacles. But it was in her opinion, she's like, well, you have two paths here. I forgot what the other card was. But she said, on this path, you'll do very well monetarily. You'll be very successful, very prosperous, Nine of Pentacles. But you may end up being alone. And some people do interpret this card that way. That sometimes we'll go out and we'll focus on those material things in our lives, and we don't really end up building a community. We don't end up with the agape part of our success. But your future self is saying, going from the bottom of the deck, group number 1, that if you take into account some of the things in this message, you will focus on building community alongside building your success. You will build, if you build your friendships, that's where you need to be. That's going to be the agape. So I think I'm seeing the whole picture now, because, sometimes it's in pieces. But group number 1, your future self's message is that don't forget the agape. Don't forget that essential part to you becoming successful. Yes, you can be decisive. Yes, you can make decisions. But there's something here about making sure that the cup that you do choose to take includes your heart. So group number 1, this is the message that I have that was given to the time traveler from your future self. Let me know in the comments if any of this resonated. It's a beautiful message. And you still may want to check out your Akashic records, but your future self is saying the message is there. Agape. So if you resonated with any or part of this reading, would you mind giving me a thumbs up? It's a real free, quick way to help me grow this channel and allows me to get more exposure on YouTube. And if you like the way that I read and want to stay connected, please consider subscribing. All you do is click that bell and you get notified when I upload new readings. And if this is where we part, group number 1, what a beautiful future message from your future self. Very beautiful, very loving and kind. I could feel your energy in the future. Very loving, kind, compassionate. Okay, my honeys, take care. honeys. This is Kamara with the Black Dove Oracle, and this is your reading for group number 2, a message from your future self that was given to a time traveler. What is that message? Well, let's start with, how did your future self even come across this time traveler? And group number 2, you may have chosen this group with this beautiful stone. I'll put that there. So this first card is telling us, how did you run across this time traveler in the future? Wow. Higher heart activation. It says here, dropping chills, divine love, your heart is healed. Another portal. Group number 1 had a portal too. So group number 2, you met this time traveler at a time in your life where you were actively healing your heart. Because this portal is about heart healing. Your future self is saying that you were at a point in your life where you were reconciling experiences of fear, separation, and heartache in your life. And you had to understand when, by the time you came to this portal, or maybe you came to this portal because you had a shield around your heart. You had a barrier there. And you realized that that barrier was keeping you from love. It was keeping you from being vulnerable. And it was keeping you ultimately from yourself. And so when you met this time traveler, you were getting ready to go through this portal of the heart, to activate your heart, to remind yourself that love is your ultimate truth. Group number 2. Powerful. Your future self is showing me there was just this pathway you had to walk. And at this heart activation, it didn't come as an easy decision. Because we all know matters of the heart can sometimes be hard to heal. Because we're so fearful of getting hurt again, of being harmed, of not taking care of ourselves. Some of us don't even want to fall into old patterns of codependency. But your future self met that time traveler and said, hey, if you happen to run into myself in the past, do you mind giving myself a couple of messages, maybe a few messages? And so, what is the most important piece of advice that your future self wants you to know right now, based on meeting this stranger, this time traveler? And having a chance to give yourself a message. What is that message? What was most important? Wow, the bridge. The bridge, group number 2. If you look at that up close, the bridge has 2 hands, open palms, extending to each other. That's connection. Spirit gets deep with these cards, y'all. Because that bridge is connecting people. It's your ability to connect. Because it's only through connection that we're able to even travel through the realms. It's only through connection that we can explore different ideologies and get to know different personalities. Connection, the bridge, it's an act of saying yes rather than withdrawing, rather than separating ourselves and saying no. The bridge is about taking the steps, even if it's hard, even if it feels uncomfortable, to stay in connection. So your future self is really saying to you here that the most important thing that you can do right now in this lifetime in this present moment of this lifetime is to stay connected to yourself, to others. Because you cannot force a bridge where there's no connection. It has to be constructed in love, acceptance, and belonging. It has to be built on the foundation of communication. Otherwise, we're crossing boundaries everywhere. Otherwise, we're codependent. And there's something about your future self saying, you know, I may have not had to go through this portal to activate my heart if I had learned how to stay connected. If I didn't give up so easily on relationships. If I saw the worth and the value of making things work. This is really getting channeled in group number 2. Group number 1, it was like I had to warm up, but your group number 2, your future self is quite adamant about this place that you're in currently. So what potential challenges does your future self foresee that you should prepare for? Maktab. If you don't know what maktab is, it's an Arab term for it is written. So maktab is literally translates to your destiny. Again, if you haven't seen the reading I did on fate versus destiny, please take a listen. Because group number 2, there's something here about you going with the flow, letting go of resistance in situations that kind of bring up that activation of the past, right? Past hurts. You get activated and you wanna instill some control. And this maktab is saying, in order for the bridge to maintain itself, sometimes we need to let go, be in the flow, and also understand that certain relationships are just, they're destined already. And whether you're destined to learn how to deepen your capacity to love, or whether you're destined to leave, there's still destiny involved. Destiny is how you decide your life's going to be, your relationships are going to be. Fate is maybe your parents getting divorced while you were young. Fate is one of your parents leaving the family. That's fate. You can't control that. Those are decisions other people made. But your destiny may be to learn how to maintain connection, maintain flow. Realize that you have the power to shape and reshape your reality because you have the tools to do so. Group number 2, this is about you creating your own destiny when it comes to relationships, when it comes to maintaining the openness of your heart. Now, what steps do you need to take? This card is going to tell us what steps you need to take to align your current path with the best possible outcome for the future. Oh, wow. 8 of Pentacles. It's funny because typically when I would see 8 of Pentacles, and I'll bring it up close in case you didn't see it, someone studying or writing at a desk. 8 of Pentacles, typically it means hard work. It typically will signal someone's studying or they've got to work hard at a job. But in this case, group number 2, it's you working hard at connection. You being dedicated to staying connected. It doesn't mean that you need to be in relationships that are abusive. It doesn't mean that you need to give your time to relationships that aren't giving back to you. But the ones that are giving back to you, the ones that have great potential, how can you keep that connection going? Even because we all know relationships, they can experience stumbling blocks. They can experience challenges. And so your future self, group number 2, is saying either there's one or a few relationships that maybe you gave up on too soon. And they want you to just know that, yeah, look at that. I have to cover this. Hold on for a second. You know, they're kind of nude here, so hopefully that covers it. But we have the Lovers. So for some of you, I see it two ways actually, because the Lovers can be about a relationship you have. Maybe these shells are more appropriate. I'm like beep 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 beep. Okay, there. Don't get mad, YouTube. And someone was so kind to warn me about the nudity part. But the Lovers, two ways of looking at this, and maybe both will apply. The Lovers is Gemini. Gemini is known to be the two parts of yourself. And so, in one sense, maintaining that connection with yourself, group number 2. But also, this could be about an intimate relationship. One that your future self is saying, for some of you, is worth bridging, is worth trying to maintain connection. Now, you may have already experienced the relationship I'm hearing, or some of you haven't, and this is like your future self saying you are going to have a relationship that is so well worth maintaining the connection. This is the After Tarot. We have the 9 of Cups. There's a sense here that when it's in reverse, you may experience a relationship that feels like it's not giving you all of what you need. But in there, your future self is warning you, did you communicate your needs? Did you work to try to bridge some of the differences? What else? Yeah, because there we are again. I think this card came up in group number 1, but group number 2, I told the story to group number 1 that a long time ago, when I was contemplating taking a job and moving, a friend of mine who was a really excellent tarot reader, she pulled this card for me and she said, you know, you'll be very successful if you take this job, but you may end up being alone. That wasn't something I wanted to hear. She says, but you know, if you stay here, you'll have a relationship, but you may not be that successful. And I was all like, I think I want to be successful. We all make different choices. All that to say, I think that might, in some similar way, come up for you, group number 2. Is this relationship, maybe for some of you, going to hold you back? Or you don't think you can grow in this relationship? That might be something that your future self is trying to get you to drop deeper into. Yeah, you've got this Queen of Cups. You know what I like about Queen of Cups is that this Queen's Cup is different from all the other cups, right? The other cups have this kind of like look to them. But the Queen's Cup It's very unique. It's very special. It's the only cup that in the traditional tarot you see is lidded. It has a lid on it. And in this after tarot, she takes the lid off. She's actually giving someone access to its contents. I like your future self, group number 2, because they're very clear about what you could do differently if you choose to. We all have free will. But your future self is saying, this unique cup that you have, it is worth offering it to someone who's deserving of it. And you may not really know all the time who that is, but our connections, they strengthen relationships. They strengthen who we are and how we navigate this world and who we give our love to and who we open our heart to. You have so many cups, group number 2. And look at the Knight of Cups drinking from the cup. And again, your future self is saying, yes, feed yourself first. Nourish yourself first with that love, with that internal connection. Because it's with that internal connection that you are able to offer more to someone else. You've even got the Page of Cups here. In this Page of Cups, it's interesting because it did come out reverse, and Spirit is saying it came out reverse because there's still this idea that if you hold the cup long enough and wait to offer it, that somehow some situation is going to come where you're able to release it, and there's your future self is saying no, you just end up holding it. You never actually give it away to anybody. So I think it is supposed to be reverse. Group number 2, I think we will leave your message here because it's quite clear what your future self was trying to communicate. That you must bridge some of these important relationships, starting with yourself and then others. If you've resonated with any of this reading, would you mind giving me a thumbs up? And if you like the way that I read and you want to stay connected, please consider subscribing and then clicking the bell because you get notified when I upload new readings. If this is where we part, group number 2, wow. This heart opening, it provided me even with some food for thought. So thank you so much. Thank you and your future self, group number 2. And I'll see you later. Bye, my honeys. Hello, my honeys. This is Kamara with the Black Dove Oracle. And group number 3, this is your pick a card reading on a time traveler's message from your future self. Did I word that right? Your future self gave a time traveler a message for you. So, how did this time traveler actually meet your future self? Where did they meet? This card says, wow, they met at the Stargate art. Group number 2 had a heart portal as well. But something is telling me that yours is a little different, group number 3. It says here, heart chakra opening, unlocking, generosity. I don't know why that word generosity is sticking out to me. And what's also sticking out is this Emerald City that's in the background here. Like you're taking a journey to a place where it is a temple of the heart, I'm hearing. Because that's the Emerald City, right? Where we remember our sacredness within. We go to this place almost as if it's a shrine for love. It's a shrine for understanding not only our own self-worth, but the self-worth of others. The Emerald City is also where you can get tools on how to learn how to protect your heart from psychic attack, so that you can continue to love without having to always have your shields up, but you can walk around in love energy. And that's what they say about the Emerald City. Like, this is a place where you don't have to protect your heart, where you can just be in free flow of love. Which is why many want to take a journey there, group number 3. They want that experience of not having to always have shields up. So your future self has a message for you around that. Something about this journey to a place, whether it's imaginal or inside of you, where you can experience being amongst others in free flow energy of love. Maybe for some of you that has not been your experience, or it hasn't been something you've been able to skillfully do. And group number 2 speaks to this. Like, how do you let those shields down? When do you do that? With whom do you do that? So this card is going to speak about the most important piece of advice your future self wants to give you right now. Wow. The Pilgrim. The Pilgrim is one who's taking a journey, right? The Pilgrim is one who is a traveler themselves. So when you met this time traveler, group number 3, you were also a traveler. You were also on a journey. It could have been an outward journey or an inward journey, but you were in the wisdom of your own experience when you ran across this time traveler. And the message that you gave this time traveler for you right now is to understand that heart energy is also always in motion. That heart energy is an action. It's responsibility. It's social convictions. It's about a sense of adventure. It's about heading into a new reality and the courage that it takes to wander, to travel, especially with your heart open. Protected, but open. Growing, learning from experiences, and not doing things in life that are half-hearted, but full-hearted. How do I live in my full heart? So the Pilgrim sets off on what many have said call a pilgrimage. There's a journey, right, that your future self was on when they came across this time traveler, and they said, let my past self know that it is worth having the experience of the pilgrim. It's worth taking the journey, the pilgrimage journey. Very deep. So what challenges, potential challenges, your future self wants to warn you about so that you could prepare for this pilgrimage, so that you could be fully, I'm seeing it now, group number 3. Your future self is saying there's something about you preparing for this future journey of yours that you want your past self You need your past self to do something so that this journey, whether it's to the Emerald City, which is kind of like symbolic, right, for a place where we can heal with our whole heart. There's something your future self needs you to do so that they're able to take this journey without hindrance. So what is that? Oh, wow. Transcendence. Your future self needs for you to become more self-aware, group number 3. There's something about you needing to shift your awareness to become more heart-centered. There's something here about leaving your comfort zone and allowing for change to happen in your life, or allowing for things to shift, embracing new energies. That is what your future self is saying. If you do more of that, this pilgrimage for us in the future will not be so stark, will not feel like such a high risk, because you're already participating in the risk of change. You're making quite literally calculated risk. You're doing calculated risks so that your life, you can get used to that. There may be something about you right now that's kind of adverse to holding a lot of change in your life, or initiating a lot of change in your life, and your future self is like, lean into that more, because there's great potential there. In fact, this last card is going to talk about how would you be able to align with that path a little bit more, so that this journey that your future self wants to take is clear. It's Two of Wands. It's kind of interesting because Two of Wands, the traditional picture, the image, has a figure standing, looking out over a balcony, out at the world. And it's got its hand on one wand, but there's a wand that's slightly behind them that they are not holding. And there's this, Two of Wands is about this like opportunity to create a plan, to set an intention for your future. One that's could be bold, one that can be quite risky, but it's worth the risk. For some of you, your future self is pointing to something that you can even do right now. A risk that would take you out of your comfort zone, but boy, you would grow so... I'm hearing you would grow so much from this experience. For some of you, it's a relationship. One that's with a partner that you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this. I'm not so sure. And your future self is saying, if you do that, you're going to learn more than you get hurt. You're going to learn a lot from this person. That's a message for some of you, not all of you. Others of you, your future self is saying, you may have an opportunity with a job that you're not quite sure you're comfortable with. Can you do it? But they're saying anything that presents itself as a little outside of your comfort zone, it's worth doing. It's worth taking that as a practice of living a life where you're in flow with change, where your heart, lead it with your heart. When it comes to change, lead with your heart. If you do it with your heart, it even if you failed, quote unquote failed, it's still going to leave you abundant in other areas of your life, because there's something about learning. Don't stop learning, group number 3. Don't stop experiencing. The Lover's card has been like coming out, you all. I have to cover it too. Yeah, for some of you, it's a relationship with someone that might be different than you. Someone who's going to come and offer you an apple, and you're like, oh, I heard you're not supposed to eat those apples. And this person might seem in some ways, quote unquote, dangerous to you because they do things outside of the box you've been told to stay in, group number 3. I don't know, your future self told me, like, you need to take a chance on that. Because they're saying you're going to end up growing in other areas of your life that you wouldn't have if you didn't try this out, if you didn't go for this relationship. What else, Spirit? Yeah, look at that. Your future self is saying it's gonna put you in a King of Pentacles energy, where quite literally, and this is the after tarot, so this King of Pentacles, it's kind of like using their coin to control the bull, right? To have mastery over the bull. But there's something here about this King of Pentacles stepping out of an energy of stubbornness. Somebody might be a Taurus. Stepping out of the energy of, like, I know how to do this. I know how to be successful. I know how to set goals and achieve my goals. And this is not that. There's something about a relationship here for you, group number 3, where you're not going to be able to control everything. Maybe you're going to be with a partner that quite literally cannot be controlled, has their own mind about a lot of things. And this person quite could love you. Yeah. It came out in reverse, the Suns, and Spirit is saying, keep it reverse. Because I think what this Sun is saying is that this might be a relationship that isn't all, not everything's on the table at first. You may not see all of the details of this person's personality, or you may not know all of what's going to happen within this relationship, because it's a wild card. That's what I'm hearing from your future self. It's a wild card, but you're not going to be in competition with each other. There's not going to be arguments or fights. It's not that kind of relationship. It's not that. Five of Wands. It's more of this relationship where you stand next to someone after you've been through a huge battle in a former relationship. And this person comes and stands right beside you and says, okay, I see that you've been wounded, but this is not me. Those wounds did not come from me. And I can stand right beside you as we're in this relationship and help you through your own healing process. I'm going to stand here. I've got your back. I'm side by side with you. Wow, that's pretty deep, group number 3. Say more, Spirit, about this person. Yeah, this person's going to show up in a time in your life where maybe the Wheel of Fortune is not, you're not in a real strong place on this Wheel of Fortune. It's in reverse. But guess what? I don't know why, but your future self is saying you might be writing at this time or coming up with an idea, and it's maybe taking a little bit longer than you thought it would, and this person's going to come along. They may inspire you. But ultimately, your future self is saying here, group number 3, you are going to have to decide. But they're coming from the future to say something is well worth you doing. Something is well worth you making a decision to trust your intuition. Trust the decisions that you're making. I don't know why I'm hearing this, but these decisions that you're making around having this love experience or having this relationship experience is actually going to change some lineage wounds. It's going to break the cycle of your family to be in this relationship, for people in your family, maybe people in your community, to see someone actually experience healthy love, supportive love. Even when you have wounds, even if you're not 100%, someone is going to demonstrate how to be. Oh, look at this. How to be the partner you've always needed. The partner that you've only dreamt about. Group number 3. Someone is coming to help you understand, maybe even help you walk through this stargate, not by yourself, but together, to a journey of like what real love looks like. Not social media love, not movie love, but real love. Bandages and all. Wounds and all. I see you standing here with your wounds. Let me stand beside you. Let me show you what this could look like. This healing, this love, this open heart. Your future self is saying here that there is a certain kind of responsibility we have in this lifetime to learn and live with that learning as much as we can, so that when we die, we are not dying confused. We are not dying held back and limited, but we're dying in the most free state that we could be in. Heart-centered. Very beautiful. Group number 3. This relationship, it's gonna come with a bang. It's going to shake things up. But your future self is saying it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, group number 3, if you resonated with any or all of this reading, would you mind giving me a thumbs up? It's a way that I grow this brand new free channel. It's a free way of helping me grow this brand new channel. And if you like the way that I read, could you consider subscribing and then clicking that bell? Because when you click the bell, you get notified of when I upload more readings. And if this is where we part, group number 3, what a beautiful love story, one that you potentially might take. And if you want to comment on that, let me know. But if this is where we part, I look forward to seeing you again in other readings. Take care, my honeys.